Today, we welcome Frank Randol of Randol's Restaurant in Breaux. Frank joins Discover Lafayette in partnership with Eat Lafayette, a year-long celebration of our locally owned restaurants, to share news of the revival of his unique Cajun restaurant and dance hall concept. Each day, trucks deliver fresh produce and seafood from South Louisiana to Randol's, ensuring that each meal at Randol starts with the freshest and best ingredients available. Our area's finest Cajun and Zydeco musicians play on Friday and Saturday nights at Randol's, keeping the spirit of our culture alive and flourishing. And incredibly, Frank has been in the business for 53 years, renowned for his contribution to sustaining and promoting our Cajun culture. As part of that dedication, Frank currently serves as secretary of the Gulf Seafood Foundation. Frank Randol, it's an honor to have you here today. This is our second interview. Thank you for joining us on Discover Lafayette.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
One correction. It's Lafayette has been expanded to Acadiana.
Okay,
I'm
that's right.
on the fringe. I'm back to the future. I went back to where I started.
That's right.
In 71.
Yeah. So I went back on our website. I looked. We interviewed in February of 2020, and a lot has happened. That was right before COVID. Mm-hmm. It was before you sold, the land on Coliseum.
I got rich.
Let me just wait. It's been so long, that 4 years, Frank. Jason, let me start here.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years and so much has taken place. I mean, COVID came along. None of us expected that. And then as you were going to laugh and say, you sold your land on Coliseum, and that left you in a position to go into to other businesses, right? You've had years to think about this.
That was correct. That's the unique thing is when I was interviewed by a girl in Channel 10, mm-hmm. She looked at me and says, "Why do I think that we haven't heard the last of Frank Randol?" And she kept asking me, "What are you going to do next?" I said, "I'm not saying anything yet. I have no idea. I'm just tired. I just want to recharge. Mm-hmm. And then God has a plan. I'll figure it out.
Right.
He's got the plan."
Right. I just can't imagine you ritired. I think that would not be good for you.
That's me.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
We don't want Frank
Amen.
sitting in the rocking chair. So
y'all, when you come to see me, I'll probably be in an urn.
Well, talk to us about your restaurant, about Randol's, its location, the historic significance of where you are.
Yeah. Well, Randol's was established in 1971. For 50 years, we were celebrating 50 years when we actually got the offer. Mm-hmm. And the offer was really good. It was enough for me to take a break for 2 years. And then I had Jimmy LeGrand was my general manager. When I took the door, I always told him, I said, something's going to happen someday. Somebody's going to give me something that I'm going to probably take. I don't know what it's going to be, where it's going to be. He came in and I looked at Jimmy and said, well, they did it, so I kept him on. We did nothing for 2 years. It takes two people to do nothing well.
You kept him on the payroll
yes,
for 2
ma'am.
years? Wow.
Oh, yeah, I'd still be paying him. But I said, well, let's find something. And he found something. He found about 2 or 3, 4 deals. They were bad. This one was good where we are because he'd worked there before, mm-hmm. and he only lived 3 miles away. I said, well, this is a no-brainer. And where it was? Mulots.
The former Mulots in Breaux. Uh-huh.
And it was in poor shape, and it polished up well.
Yeah.
And everybody says, what did you do to the place? I said, well, anything you want to see is still in there. Except for a couple of other things. But I'll just tell you the one thing that I had to do, because my wife said, do something with the bathrooms or I'm not going to come there.
Which is important.
Yeah, so the guy that bought me out on my land, I copied the ones, I can't tell if copied, I'm not going to tell you what I did. The bathrooms they have are phenomenal. And the ladies, when they go in there, and they'll squeal when they see it. They say, ooh, is this legal? It's got glass walls like here. You think you can see through it, but you can't. So your imagination drives you. Uh-huh. And everybody that goes in there says, I can't go in there. And they go back in there and they say, ooh, this is pretty nice. You can hear them and they're squealing. They don't want to get out. There's a time limit, but it's 400 square foot. Uh-huh. It's well done.
Yeah.
Well
so
done.
the menu is traditional Cajun. It's what you had.
That's the same menu.
Yeah, the same menu.
And that's tough too when you have 50 years of stuff to go back and say, mm-hmm. which one of these is really the right thing?
Right.
One computer had this, another had this, and You know, when you cut and run that fast, well, you got to get 50 years off the property that quick. You leave something behind. It was trying to find out so we had to repurpose, you know, we had to figure out where the mission, we had to really come up.
The best of the best.
Retest everything.
Yeah.
And at the end of the tastings, we all got it right. It's just there. And now we're bringing some new stuff on. So basically we had those different power things that we did, because we had the restaurant, and we had the seafood market, or the seafood plant, and then we're doing a mini market. That's what we're triggering right now. And then the events, if you want something, you want to have something at Bulots. But the unique thing, we have more land than we had in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And it's right there on the road. You call it Breaux Bridge Road, this and that. I call it the I-10 alternate
route.
So every time that road stops,
yeah,
they're diverted in front of this property, and it's right there. To get through Randol's, there's a train track right there. Train comes once a week, does a little something. So I told my grandkids, that's my train. They'll honk, they'll go, but that's what it is right there. And the traffic is really adequate. It's impressive. Most people don't understand. It's 15 minutes from Lafayette.
I was thinking that it's so
6
close.
miles.
Yeah, it's really just like going anywhere else in Lafayette Parish. It's right there.
But people, it's just that. But it's when people realize, you know, they've developed all quadrants of Lafayette except that, and that it's undergoing that now. And I got the wrong shirt on. I should have worn my Buc-ee's shirt. Buc-ee's is coming to town, and they say, and it looks like it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm at the 108 exit, and Buc-ee's is going on the right there, Louisiana Avenue. So it's not very far.
Right. Right.
But they assure me it's going there, and they're going to build it out in about 14 months.
It's going to be a destination for a lot of travelers, so they can go to Buc-ee's and Randol's.
Well, what I'm thinking, everybody says they go any which way when they see a Buc-ee's just to get away from that traffic. So I figure it's going to really go
Get
shove
off
it.
in Breaux Bridge.
They're going to go on alternate.
Heck no, I'm not doing that.
That's what it'll be about.
I do that when I travel.
Are you tired of Buc-ee's?
Yeah.
Come to Frankie's.
Well, let's talk about first your menu. Like, can you describe some of the dishes and what some of the old-time favorites are that draw people?
It's still, you know, it gets down to, you know, your catfish dishes there. The traditional catfish, we protein catfish, shrimp, and hamburger steak. And that, for some reason, we got conditioned on the backside of COVID and the backs of everything, limited quantities, that's what you ate. We're breaking them into, you know, the soft shell crabs that we bring in daily. Crabs, the big crabs, we got those. Just all the fresh seafood, because it's there. But if you'll see, it's a learning process for me, because the fisheries has changed too, because the composition of the coastline has changed, and we've had some stuff where the price went way up to $9, and everybody stopped eating. And all of a sudden, you get down to anything. Well, we'll sell it at any price, and then everybody thought, well, good, we'll start putting it in the freezer, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Crawfish. We went through the same cycle with crab, and we're sort of going through it right now, so it's always the same thing. But the unique thing is I've seen them all, because in the course of 50 years, the cycle of it is there. Once you see it, you just have to figure out, okay, at what step are we, at what point in the cycle?
In the year,
And you just anticipate, and you just call hedging, that kind of stuff. So
it's all from South Louisiana. You stay
we
local.
Stick to that. We held our ground, because we're sitting there. We like what we call wild caught. Those are key things for those. You get wild caught, which means no additives.
Yeah, not farmed, not
farm raised. But there's nothing wrong with farm raised if you know where you're getting it from. But it's primarily is South Louisiana seafood. That's our primary thing, and cattle or whatever. You know, it's how we made 50 years work for Randol's. That was it.
We get so many tourists into this area. People come to South Louisiana for our food, and I'm just so glad that you decided to resurrect and revive Randol's, because I remember in our past interview, so many of your guests were visitors from other places, and
60 to 70% of my business came on the interstate
Yeah.
or outside of town.
Yeah.
Everybody said, "Well, how do you know that?" I said, "We knew where they came from. It's the same. It's actually going to be more will come in the Breaux area." And I sort of looked at what the success they had in Margaritaville, which is up in Cecilia area.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal what they do. They come in, they carry their home on the back of their truck trailer, and then they go in there and have a great weekend, hook up again, go down the road. And it's pretty unique. But the bottom line is that they don't have time to go into something like the historic downtown of Breaux Bridge.
Yeah, which is
they've got their great
so
churches,
nice.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Antique stores.
People need to go and take a look at what they're doing in Breaux Bridge. It's being acquired, and it's being brought. You know, you got the Reese Street is new, but I mean it's the downtown core of Breaux Bridge is just really enlightening, and it's got under good leadership. It's going to work.
You know, so many of us take what we have for granted, Frank. You know, we live here, and we don't know what's right under our nose. You're talking about downtown Breaux Bridge. I wanted to do this podcast to remind people about what you've done, and also what a quick kind of like a staycation kind of thing to drive the short distance to Breaux Bridge, enjoy your restaurant, and enjoy Breaux Bridge. You know, it's just it's a cultural gem.
You can bike in that town. I mean, it's so unique. It's got a great Catholic church. They got two of them. They're a block apart from each other. St. Francis and St. Bernard, I think is what it's called. But it's just when you start talking about family, faith, family.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that whole area is bound in faith and family.
And if people are wondering why Eat Lafayette wants to have Frank Randol on with his Breaux Bridge restaurant, you're such an integral part of Eat Lafayette. You support your local restaurateurs, the other locally owned restaurants, and you've been such a key force for seeing the longevity of other people besides yourself. But so talk about what else is going on at Randol's. We're going to send people to your website, and is it Randol's?
Yeah. Randols.com.
.com. Yeah,
That's how old it is. I didn't have to buy
you own
my
your
name.
name.
I owned my name, and that was pretty unique.
The menu speaks for itself. It starts out with hush puppies, then it's got all these other goodies. But what else is going on there? I mean, you still have the live bands, as we mentioned in the intro, which is a draw.
We have the music and everything, but what we're downplaying is we have some of the great new musicians that are budding. But the most important thing is there's always music playing. Mm-hmm. When I was doing the tours of by the bicentennial for the state, we went through the Memphis on our road show for the state, and we went by the Elvis Presley Museum, and it was really unique. Elvis had already passed; he was out of the room, but the music was playing, and I said, "Paul, what a unique."
He was still
you
there.
had all that stuff, and I said, and we did something similar to that up in Shreveport. But I said, this is a unique opportunity to sit and take what we have, and go with it. I said, well, okay, let me give you this stuff. So I went to the Roy House, which is University of Louisiana, ULL, Louisiana Studies, specific to the Roy House, and it's Cajun and Creole music. So I brought them all my stuff, gifted it to them, and they put it on 2 terabytes.
Wow.
You look at this thing and it just doesn't end. And if you're looking at it, and it's got everybody on it, and we're still getting more of it because we're working with Fox Station here in town because that's where we archived all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
And once we got it, and you can take it and you look at it and say, well, how old is that thing? So it's old, but it's new because now it won't be lost because we preserved it. We gifted it back to them. The university, we're trying to build that library back up. But you get to look and hear and see the music. But not only that, over there they're correcting. If they were on the music side, if they need to, they're going in and correcting the music to be consistent with the real French.
Oh, I see.
Then they got to go and they re-record that. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing over there is incredible.
That's
and
great.
When you do it, it brings tears to your eyes because, I mean, it's just really that good. And that's when, like I said, we lost Chris Stafford. Mm-hmm. It really came to everybody because here is kid in his prime great musicians, all of them, and stuff. And he just, when you lose somebody like that,
Yeah.
then you appreciate that we had captured him, and he was on the video when he's lost, but he's not lost. We have preserved that. Anybody who wants to see how he played, what he sounded like, what he looked like, and what he contributed.
They can come to Randol's.
No, I gifted it.
So you're not playing his music though. You're not.
Yes, but if you want to see it, really, that part, that you can do. But as far as for getting to it, it's you.
It's at the UL. House.
I told you I have it because that was part of the deal with mine. I get it there, and I can use it because that was the original deal from the very start.
Right.
Because you have you got the rights for the music. Basically a lot of that stuff came out of BMI. Most of it was eminent domain or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Not eminent domain, but the
copyright.
Copyright. So we got all that straight, and
Like Dewey Balfa. I just can't imagine, some of these greats that are no longer with us.
yeah, because I had a lot of big musicians. In fact, when you go to Bulot, if you look at the wall, it's all those names are still on the wall.
You kept all what they had, some of the
And
memorabilia.
it's got the little thing on the outside, the historic little monument telling you that it's still there. The place is just, when you walk in, that's what everybody says. And because they were young, they were probably having their first beer when they went to Mulot's. My brother that I lost in he's in my book, but it's in Rusty Randol. In 69, he passed away, and I'm sort of thinking, they said it might be haunted. And I said, well, it might be my brother. He was supposed to be with me and this and that, but it has it's a neat place. Everybody has everybody has a story.
Everybody does have
Everybody
a story.
has, when they go in, there's something in that building
Right.
that somebody's going to tell you a story that I didn't know that.
Now, your dance hall was always a draw. Are people dancing?
Not as much because that will come later because we're going to actually have to go to the outside because I'm expecting they used to do like an accordion festival and stuff like that. We built in the capacity to go out of the building and have a large event because it's an old building, 80 years. I just we're running it. It's going to be a little different than what it was in the past. And like I said, we had 4 acres. They only had 1 acre. So I bought the extra acreage, and we're going to see. But here again, I'm going to rely on what they need for the culture. Like festivals of Cartier is coming up. How's that going to play a part? They used to always have, Randall's used to always do the post party where everybody would go out there and decompress and do that. We won't do it this year, but we'll offer it up. But right now, we're just trying to get stability in what we're doing.
That's what I was thinking. It's so new.
We had 3 horrible storms there in 10 days. It blew the roof off of Pat's, and we had 7 inches of rain, and everything was flooding out.
In May.
But I was high ground.
And you were spared damage. Yeah, you were spared damage.
Yeah.
And so close.
Yeah, it took out Pat's. He's back now, but let me tell you something. But that was the second or the third. I mean, you hit that many, and I mean the cars are floating down Reese Street, and you're looking at that. But I got a big truck. It can go through anything.
We'll have a picture of your truck on our website, but your truck is iconic. It's got the big Randol's logo, and wherever you go, it's pretty much you're seen in your truck. So it's a good way to advertise.
I have a grandson. I nicknamed him LSU. His name is Ellis Boya Randol, and he loves that truck. So I said, okay. And he's I think Ellis is about 6 or 7 years old now. Certain things you can't get rid of. That's one of them.
That's one of them, yeah. So you were mentioning a market. I know you're looking at expanding what you're doing. Are you ready to talk about that, about plans for a market?
Well, we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to do another one of these.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. I'm not going anywhere.
I know you're not. I know.
I know. I'm 78, but I'm not going. I promise I will be there. I'm a little. If I sound a little crafty, a little coarse, my cure during COVID was HCQ, hydroxychloroquine. They said it didn't work. Well, it does. I have arthritis, so I got a script. I was lucky to have a good doctor that helped keep me in a script, and I'm a vet, so I was able to get what I needed.
You still
and I
get
still
it?
do it.
You still take it?
Yeah, it's good for malaria. We did that.
Oh, malaria. Yeah.
Malaria, lupus, all kind of stuff.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, it keeps all kind of. I said, look, even if it might, it's good enough for me. Because if it's been around since the Vietnam War and we used it there for that, I said, well, it's been tested, and that's the one that they blocked access to. So if you had a script, that's it. So that's what I have now. You say, well, what's a little?
I want to hear you talk about your role with the Gulf Seafood Foundation. I mean, your good friend Jim Gossin is president, and you guys have really dedicated yourselves to raising awareness of the life of a fisherman, the life of someone who, raises oysters, and the challenges with our coast. And our industry, our restaurant industry, is dependent on having fresh, available seafood. We're in a great spot here, but things are changing.
It's a tragedy what's happening to our coastline, and one of the biggest things we realized, the gifting, people want to help. They had to have a place how to channel it, but we were getting so much. They were sending tractor trailer loads of stuff down here, but then we realized that when these people we were trying to help are on the coastline, where they don't have anything, so you don't have the big cold storage on the coastline,
right?
So you really don't have the proximity, because in FEMA, we do FEMA response. It's always about trying to get as close as you can to be able to keep the people working where they live so they can rebuild it. So that's what our foundation did, was every state that touches the Gulf of Mexico was in the foundation. We would have Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way across, all the way down. And we had, because if one section of the country gets hit, the other section is always there to get in. But we're aware of a lot of stuff now, and we're still, when we raise the flag, we get a lot of people. We channel the donations. We try not to. We don't doesn't have to necessarily come through us, but we facilitate. And I think that's the word. And Jim Gostin is an unbelievable
He's
guy
tireless.
when it comes to that.
I know. I mean, I've ridden in the car with him on several occasions, and he's always on that phone, which is not a great thing, but he's always on the phone networking. And I remember after one hurricane, I didn't realize the importance of getting fresh ice to the fishermen. I mean, you just don't think about the things that they can't get access to, and we're all dependent on what they're bringing in. And if they've been hit by a hurricane or a storm, it's you go upside down.
He get out there. Louisiana seafood. If you look at him, Louisiana blue crab meat. He's sitting there with Pepe over at Superior Grill. If you go to the website, Jim's website, he's got 2 cans of jumbo lump crab meat on his head. That's what he's doing. He's promoting the guy down in Kaplan. Says, I've lost all my accounts because that last storm that went through Florida shut them all down. And I said, well, call Jim. He'll figure it out. He did. Yeah. That's what they're doing. And, but Jim and I walk the same path. He just had much higher profile than I did.
Yeah.
But he's a little younger than I am. But he's incredible.
Yeah, he's retired, but he's really not retired. He's so
like
busy.
Me. No,
he's networking.
He was the one that got me to do this. He won't take credit for it. I said, you know what he told me? He says, go big, Frank, buy more land. That's what he told me.
I called him this summer, and I think of you two and I think of each other. I said, Jim, what's up? And he said, well, he was in Paris. He was in France testing the best butter. Like he's an ambassador for all, but that he's telling people to come back here, to come try our food,
Yeah. They go figure this guy's got a heart condition, and he's sitting there eating that big chunks of it comes in 2-pound blocks. And he said, Frank, it's the most incredible stuff you'll ever eat. It might be the last thing you eat.
Gosh. Well, I want you to, if you can tell people, your history in our region, Frank. Why is this so important that you want to keep our Cajun culture alive? If you can talk about what drives you to do what you're doing. Because I know you don't want to be retired, but you bring it 1 or 2 or 12 steps above what everybody else is doing to promote our culture.
When you get involved, when you throw yourself into something for this many decades, you just can't stop. You can't go cold turkey. And you got to read the book.
Frank had a book written.
Because I always say,
history.
we I just all the memoirs are put, and Lisa has it. I said, Lisa, we're not going to, but we're gifted. I'm going to go get it out.
Yeah.
But it
Lisa
it
hands
tells you because right in the '80s, you can't stop the engine that started on the backside of the World's Fair. It allowed Cajun to become. I went to halfway around the world, Korea, and in Singapore, and they had Cajun in Singapore. And they knew of Randol's Restaurant because the orchestra, Chinese orchestra, played. They were there. My uncle told me, he said, Frank, they know you in Singapore. No, they know Cajun in Singapore. We got it on the menu. You just don't stop that because you can't recreate it. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody now. Pick up on it, embrace it.
Yeah, carry it.
Yeah, because you got branding already. Just go with it. And that's what we're doing now. We're trying to get those young musicians that are saying, "Oh, look, he's the great one." I said, "You're the next great one." And the unique thing too is we were doing this thing at the Roy House, and I was talking to the Baptist Church, Dennis Clark, who helped archive all this stuff for me. He said, "Frank, we can do this now. We got artificial intelligence, AI. We can do all this filming now." And they're coming after your job,
Jason.
But we actually built them. If you look, we spotted where the cameras go and everything, but we're not there yet. Be able to teach these kids how to have a stage presence. So you come in and you can play your music, 3-piece or whatever, but you can sit there and look at what you're doing, improve on it, because all these musicians came through what we call it Cajun Restaurant. Cajun Restaurant was sort of cloned as being mine was Cajun Restaurant and Dance Hall, because what you did, you're doing something different. Never did you think about going into a restaurant for, number one, where you didn't have to spend any money. You could just go to the dance hall, bring your kids, do all this other stuff. And that's what we did. And it was so unique because the people that came in from Europe, they said, man, we have documented, we had 4 decades on the dance floor at one time, from the young kid to the great grandfather. And they would say, this is so unique, the Europeans. I said, this is authentic. And it's not that. And so it's about the people that are under the roof. And guess what? The same thing is right there in St. Martin Parish. Yeah. Because unbeknownst to me, that's where the music really started. And I saw it on TV one time where they were advertising in Seattle. I think he said not Beaujacques, but the guy out there was at, and I saw the banner there at St. Martinville. I said, they can't be that. Lafayette had that. And I checked into it. No, it's St. Martin Parish had it. And I'm sitting there now, and I said, let me just go double back, reconnect, and let's get we have to have a venue where these young, budding musicians can embrace their culture. They can still do all the other stuff. Hunter Hayes did it. Yeah. You know, they go out and but they still, it's amazing. Yeah. What we had, and we just got to keep the vigil. Don't lose it, because we got name recognition.
That's why I thought it was so important to have you on, because you just embody this. And there's so much we need to be reminded of. A lot of us just go about our lives, and you make our culture unique. And so I want to thank you for that.
We got the names like Gerald Breaux, Terry Huval.
Terry plays.
Terry's still playing music. He gets on the stage with, it's
so talented.
And they all say the same thing. They're all thankful now because they didn't know what I was doing, and now they know. They said, man, the people, then that's the message. Is I don't think the people understand what Randol's second time around is about. Right. And it's you can come in, you can enjoy, but you're enjoying not only the past, but what's the present and going into the future. You can project. Right. And you say, can you do it? We did it. It's not whether we can. We did it. We already know we did it. Like I say, you go everywhere around the world, and they know Cajun, and they know where it's from. Yeah. Cajun and Creole.
Well, people can go to discoverlafayette.net and listen to Frank's interview talking about a lot of that, about what you did traveling to invite people to come here and to learn about our culture. It's just it's an invaluable story. And I'll put Lisa Hanchy in the book that she helped you write. I'll put that on my show notes. But people, we're sitting here in the oil center. It's 15 minutes to 325 West Mills Avenue in Breaux. It's just as close as driving anywhere. You know, it's not a far destination.
And just remember all the good seafood, the crawfish tails, and but the crab meat. You'll have that crab meat. We'll be producing that. You'll be able to go pick up some fresh crab meat, and we're going to piece. It's going to be called, it's mini market is what we're deeming it, but
that's what I wanted you to get in, your mini market.
Mini market.
Yeah. Okay.
Mini market.
So people can also call you for catering and events to be held at your restaurant.
All that. We still have all that, and the most important thing for me was to get the elements of Mulots. It's a different venue. Remember, I went from a greenhouse, plastic building, totally and I'm under a real roof, sort of, and that's hard for me to adjust to.
Right.
I'm contained.
Well, we're here with Jason Sikora, who works for Chris RADER, and I met you through Chris. I want to give a shout out to Chris for introducing us. I think you were catering an event at the Light Center when I met you, Frank. So
you've catered a few of our events now, I believe.
It's delicious.
Yeah. We love it when you see your truck coming. Frank, thanks for coming back. I appreciate this.
It's a pleasure.
So the address 325 West Mills Road, and the website is randols.com, RANDOLS.com.
Correct.
All right, want to make sure everybody listening can hear that. Can we continue talking about music for a second? Who are your favorite Cajun artists?
You try to back me into the corner.
Well, okay, let's back it up.
Let me tell you. Let me just tell you the one that's been with me the longest.
Yeah.
Is Terry Huval.
Okay.
Because Terry Huval was playing at Mulots back in the 80s. And back then they had a little tug of war. They didn't want to see anybody else have success. And they, but Terry jumped ship, and I said, well, you pick the night of the week, and you won't have a gig just once a month or something. You have a week every week. That's a big thing with the bands now.
Yeah.
So Terry Huval still has Friday nights at Randol's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you believe that, huh?
Yeah, and they're so good. Yeah.
Well, the reason I ask is if I go on, say, Spotify, it's going to give me some sort of pre-algorithm list where if I ask somebody who knows the music, I'm going to get a much more honest answer about who I should be listening to.
Yeah. But but you got to say, the Cajun music's fairly limited, the style of it, but we got Wayne Toops. Over the course of time, Wayne Toops would come in a certain night, and he didn't play, but he'd actually wind up playing. But they normally came to Randall's because they'd always find somebody that they wanted to hear. That's out there. It's like it wasn't necessarily for compensation. The next thing, they'll be on the stage. And you know who else got on the stage one time? Was Robert Plant.
Really?
Yeah, he came in, and Terry Vual was playing. Robert Plant came. He came out of New Orleans. He was looking for he's looking for a beat. It wound up being Zydeco, but he started in there. And Robert Plant, they brought him in the back, and
wow,
they recognized him instantly.
Well, he's kind of got that look, yeah.
And he wound up on the stage so he could be protected. And he sat up there and did everything. And then but Robert Plant came in with his girlfriend, and everybody said, "Wow." I think it was Dr. Bustani he was a young guy then, but boy, he was like a little kid. But Diane Cannon, but Mulots has got a lot of that stuff, Aerosmith and all that up in the front, still on the walls.
Okay.
Still on the walls. So it's not who the spirits are alive. It's when you walk in there, and like we got Dafford got a lot of artwork up in there.
Robert Dafford, yeah.
And then there's a
murals.
guy, I'm trying to remember his name, but he was out of Eunice, but he put all the murals up in there. And the artwork on the walls cost more than the building when I acquired it. So I told him, but it's just, it's history. It's just, I'm lucky you could feel the spirit of our culture is alive in that place.
That's great.
So when you look up music, I guess Jambalaya, Terry Huval's band, Jambalaya.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. If I can shift gears a little bit, Frank, last time you were here was right before COVID, I think February
2020.
2020. So coming out of COVID, I'd like to get your perspective. Obviously, the restaurant business was hit horribly. Were there any lessons learned in there? Like, what was the good and the bad for restaurants in general? Not necessarily for you, but what you saw coming out of COVID.
From a professional standpoint,
Yeah.
I'm a vet,
Okay.
not a veterinarian. I'm an Army vet, and I was an officer during the '60s Vietnam, and I was actually the at battalion level. I was sent to a school in Anniston, Alabama, and what I studied there was chemical, biological, radiological warfare, 6 weeks.
Wow.
And at the same time, I lost my brother. And, but the bottom line is that if that one person that the battalion has to have, like every state ought to have that person on staff, you wouldn't have a Fauci giving you his position on something. You'd have something, everybody, and it wouldn't be guessing. You'd have factual stuff.
Got you.
They blew this country up. This is biological warfare.
Yeah.
And they won. They knocked out all these. Look at the people. The people are still struggling.
Yeah.
I struggled. I was just lucky enough to realize that
You were.
take the door, take a breath, and I do know that. So that would be the number one thing I would think.
Okay.
Military is not bad.
Yeah.
And back then they had the draft, so they got some good people in there, not just the people that might not want to be there. But we did it. But it was that, and just remember the fire marshal had the control. He had the keys to your door. He could tell you up or down whether you could do certain things or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the entertainment people took the largest hit.
That's true. I know all my buddies in the music business. They were out of work for 2 years. There was nothing to do. So
These guys would come out and play. Said, "Can I play for nothing?" So I said, "Why?" I said, "My fingers. I got to get the calluses back." Because
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
they
Once
don't
you get
lose.
rid of your fingers, like Terry said, "Man, if I don't get them back, I can't play. It take me months to get that." So they come out and play, and we paid them.
wow. Crazy times. So my final question was, I was reflecting back on, we had Adam Daigle on at the end of the year, and he gave his report where a dozen restaurants went out of business, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. I don't know how regular that is, and I was just wondering, what we see so many restaurants. We've had some great entrepreneurs on here, and they're getting by. But the struggle is different than it was 10 years ago. Are we going to continue seeing something in any direction?
Oh yeah, no, it's Jim Goss is the guy that can tell you all that stuff because he goes over. Houston is the fourth largest city in the country.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're dropping like flies. I mean, they can't sustain it.
restaurants.
Look, we're in. Anybody that doesn't think we're in rapid inflation is not looking. So you can't keep up with the cost. McDonald's. If you want to keep up with cost, just check your prices at McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. So you just got to pare it back, do what you can do. And that's what I've always done for that 50 years. Because we always had ups and downs. You just got to understand, okay, you got an up and down. Sometimes you can't you can't buy your way through it.
Yeah.
You have to sit there and figure it out. But it's the commodities. It's the supply chain.
Yeah.
That's military right there. You never outstrip your supply line.
That's true. Yeah.
And
And labor cost. I know we've had other restaurateurs talking about it can be hard
crazy.
to keep labor and then pay them more, and they still may not be loyal.
You don't ever think that you have to do what you can't really do. So a lot of times everybody said, "Well, why aren't you doing this, Frank? Why aren't you doing that?" I said, I got to pull back.
Yep.
Let's see it level out a little bit. Don't do what you can't do or shouldn't do, and just bear with it. But it took me 50 years. 50 years in Lafayette. Give me time. I'll make it.
This is a guy with true grit. I always think of you. I think true grit. You hang in there and you're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, utmost respect. I don't know how restaurant owners do it with labor costs and ever-changing environment there, with your labor force and prices of goods going up, and you guys are still in business. Like, that's some sort of superpower, I think, how to run a restaurant. So, Frank, thank you again for coming down here, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And we'll do a part 3 at some point, I think,
Yeah.
in a year or so. So, yeah, thank you,
I
Frank.
love that.
Okay.
Jason, thank you
Yeah,
for
of
recording
course.
us today. So Frank Randol of Randol's Restaurant in Breaux Bridge, 325 West Mills Avenue. I want to encourage people to go check it out, especially on weekends, and hear some good music. And Frank, thank you for all you've done for our culture. We owe you a big debt of gratitude. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I want to thank our sponsors who make this podcast possible. Of course, first, we partnered with Eat Lafayette and the team, Ben Berthelot's team at Lafayette Travel, RADER, Oxner, Lafayette General, Home Bank, and LUS Fiber. We're grateful for all you do to keep our podcasts going. If you haven't, please subscribe to Discover Lafayette wherever you get your podcast and leave a review. We'd love to hear what you think. And also, you can visit discoverlafayette.net to look up Frank Randol's 2 interviews, as well as many others. Thank you so much for listening. On behalf of Discover Lafayette, this is Jan Swift. Cool. Yeah. So interesting. I liked your answer about the bio. Like, I didn't think about that. That's above most of our ability to change it. But what the government did, shutting people down and shutting schools and looking at what's happened to kids.
Well, there's still, yeah.
We're going to pay for this for a long time. But they didn't know. I mean, I think they were really doing what they thought was right. But
And you didn't say anything the whole time I was in. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, no, I'm an intern here. I'm just sitting in.
Do you still have an opinion?
Yeah, any questions for Frank? When's the next time you're going to have Frank in a glass room with 4 walls?
yeah, I got to go check out the bathrooms there. So it looks like this.
Yeah, so
I mean,
what's the
it's
bathroom
okay.
all about?
It's not a. It's a.
They will
frosted
be the
glass?
best. My son flies everywhere in the world. He says he's never seen bathrooms
Like
like that.
that?
Most people say that this is unbelievable. In fact,
'Cause they
Glenn
don't
Angel,
wanna-
the architect, said,
They don't want to sit down.
who stamped it, says, are these legal?
So what is it? You said it's glass walls, but they're one way?
Glass walls, the rain, it's like in a shower, you can see, but you can't see.
Oh, yeah, the frosted.
And what
yeah.
I did is, everybody said, do they have clothes on? It's basically, when you look at it, you're washing your hands in the front, and it's 20 feet deep, so you can't.
Oh, so you're just seeing like a little guy, yeah.
Where did
Yeah.
you get that? Where did you source?
You
the
go take a
glass?
look at Superior Grill.
So it's basically frosted glass like this, kind of like these strips here, but the whole thing is done, right?
Well, yeah, Superior went crazy. Mine cost a piece of what they paid for theirs.
But did you get it
That
local?
you can't see through it, but you can see movement.
Yeah, but did you buy it local or was this a specialty?
Yes, Alamo Glass did it. I didn't have to go to Dallas to get it.
Okay.
I mean, when I finished that thing, I mean, it was nothing. Alamo Glass did that, and then the acoustic, the architectural specialties did all the partitions.
Okay, yeah.
And then Coburn sourced all my stuff because when you went to school a long time ago, they had these porcelain sinks. The kids had them where you could wash your hands on them. There's 3 of them. They're almost 50 foot. You sit there. They come up. They're back to back. So all the plumbing's in the middle. The ladies face the men face it, but
Oh,
you
really?
can't see through the wall. But
Okay.
it's you're looking at it, and you look at it 20 foot of glass.
Wow.
And when you look at that thing, they walk, and it's right up against the bar. I put mine where you can see it because everybody goes there, and the guys try to go on the end of the bar so they can look into the ladies' room. And I said, guys,
Disappointed.
you're being naughty. Now the ladies are over there looking at the guys. I said,
Yeah.
look, got to watch what you do because I tell everybody, says, make sure you're presentable before you walk out of that stall because
Right.
they're looking at every move you make. They might not see your face, but they'll know you.
What you doing?
They'll know you by the time you get out.
It's an interesting idea. I like it. Yeah.
Got to have a hook.
Well, because every bathroom is so boring. It's the same thing over and over again. And some House of Blues bathrooms are really cool in some venues, but yeah, I've never seen.
What I did, you're lucky. What I did was I kept the old bathrooms on the left side. I put the new ones on the right side. So what happens is anybody comes in and comes, I can't go in that bathroom. So, well, you go back over there to the other ones. So they got them over there. They go in there, come running back. I take this one.
Yeah.
They go in and get out. You can hear them. They young and the old doesn't matter, man. It's unique. You gotta have something.
Something.
that
Something that sticks out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to get a picture of you in here and then maybe one in front of the truck.
okay.
We can do that. Did you get